on, guys? So, yeah, this is my Gotham review, and I gotta say it was, was I the only one that felt this episode was kind of average? It wasn't bad, but it wasn't great. It was just kind of average. And, like, there's a few things that I noticed in here that I'm going to kind of point out. This might be kind of a quickie review because there's not a lot to go into about, like, stuff that might be from the comics or whatever. It's just a lot of character development that was going on in here. So, first thing I want to point out is if you did notice that Bullock was not in this episode, and, you know, the freaking other person that came in for him said he was, like, on sabbatical or whatever he was on, do believe that he was not in this episode because of everything that happened with his child earlier this year. If you didn't know, his child went missing, and I believe they were missing for like a week or maybe even more than that. And so I believe that was during the filming, and they had to write that into the show that, you know, Bullock just had to go away for a little bit because of what was actually happening in his real life. So I believe that is why you did not see Bullock in this episode. Sorry if the lighting keeps changing. I didn't have one light on. But anyway, so that's why Bullock wasn't there. And let's move on to the next thing in this episode was, although I think Crystal might be Bae, I said Crystal, I meant Sophia, with her real name, the actress's name is Crystal. I think she might be Bae, because I think she is Perte, but, yeah, I don't like her acting. I don't think she's that great. And apparently there is a rumor, or I don't know, they say it's like the Crystal Curse. I don't know if this girl's been on shows before and has made them suck or has got them canceled, because I don't know, she's so bad. I don't really know. But when she was talking to Penguin, like, for the first time, she was like, I'm just here for Falcone charities, and blah, 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 blah. And she was, like, supposed to cry. Like, it was so bad. And I was just like, I didn't like that. I don't know. I mean, but at the same time, like, my brain was like, maybe the character was trying to cry, but couldn't really do it. But then I'm all like, that's kind of, but you shouldn't even I shouldn't even have to question if you're trying that or not. You know what I mean? So, I don't know. I'm not really buying her character right now. But her and Gordon did like we totally said they were going to do. So that totally happened at the end of the episode, which was just Gordon is not the best choice when it comes to the ladies, but I feel like I can totally relate to that. We are talking about Sophia. I do want to mention one of my favorite parts of the episode, and that is when, you know, Penguin's talking about what will happen if a Falcone faction started coming up, and she looked over to freaking Zaz, and he was like, I'll stab you. Like, I just love what they're doing with Zaz this season. I wanted more Zaz, and we're getting more Zaz, and, you know, he's just playing like this. It's not his character from the comic book. Like, yes, his character from the comic book is way darker, way crazier, but what they are doing with this Zaz, I am totally 100% okay with, and I hope we just keep seeing more and more of him. But I am hoping that this Falcone versus Penguin thing is going to start escalating pretty soon, and that there is going to be a war against Falcone and Penguin. You know, of course, it'll be with Sophia at the head of it. She's not telling Gordon what she has planned, but it does seem very awesome that we are going to have mob wars again, and now Penguin will be involved with this. And I hope it stretches out over the season. Like, one gets hit, the other one gets hit. You know, kind of like we had, I think it was in season 1, yeah, with Maroni and Falcone. There was just these hits going on. I really enjoyed that aspect of the show, and I hope we get back to that. Sticking with Penguin, though, we saw that the Riddler was trying to, you know, come up with better riddles to try to get to kill him, basically. And he had rapping Riddlers, or rapping riddles is what I should say, which I thought was a cool, nice touch, but they didn't make any sense. I was trying to figure them out, too. Penguin thought he was figuring them out, but then he would go to those spots, and then Nigma wouldn't show up. So Nigma was all like, you know, it was just, he's not himself. And we see that at the end of the episode when he goes to confront Oswald at his club, and he's all like, you didn't show up. Penguin says, your riddles suck. Like, they don't make any sense, blah, blah, blah. He starts calling him out about how long it took him to make him, and you just see Penguin become super savage, and he brings out the other Victor, Freeze, to go ahead and freeze him. And I just loved his one line, or like his one or two lines that Freeze said, where he was all like, you want the same pose or you want something new? And he was like, no. He was like, same pose then. And then freaking Penguin called him off, and he was all like, no. He was all like, you know what? I'm going to let him live, because it's even more savage to let him live knowing that he will never be the Riddler again, because only the Riddler can kill me, because this is just Nigma. And I thought that was brilliant. Like, I think that is going to be the Riddler's driving force moving forward, that he cannot kill Oswald until he becomes that old Riddler again. So I think that's what we're going to see, his progression, and why he's going to, team up with Bullock in the future, is because they're both going to be damaged characters that are maybe trying to get back to who they were, or, one is trying to get back to the other who he was, and the other is just like, his henchman. So that was that, and basically the rest of this episode is just Ra's al Ghul versus Bruce over the knife, and Gordon kind of sprinkled in there to kind of find out what's going on. We saw Gordon fight the freaking, medieval guy with the pet human dog thing called Anubis, which I don't know if that's I haven't went back and researched if that is actually a character in the Batman comics. I will get back to you on that. But yeah, so like that was kind of an interesting touch, Barbara was like, these people don't do well in this like whole, area for my business and all that jazz. And I do want to say is, it does kind of seem like Ra's is upset with Barbara, so I'm kind of hoping maybe he's going to try to kill her at some point, maybe once he gets the actual knife back. Which, I gotta ask another question on top of that question, or I don't even think that was a question or statement, whatever. Do you think, do you have any idea what the hell this knife does? Because I feel like we haven't got a clear explanation why this knife is so important. We saw the scene where he came out of the Lazarus pit, and that, his mentor, whoever brought him back, gave him the knife. But did, like, Ra's kill his mentor with that knife to, like, free him of, his, like, I don't know, demonness, or free him of death because he's lived forever? Or, I don't know, like, we saw, if you watched Arrow, you saw that, whoever kills, Ra's becomes Ra's. Or that's how they kind of promoted it in Arrow. Are they promoting it here? And even in the Batman comic books, Ra's wants Batman to become the next Demon Head. But, is that required in... Is it, like, solidity required that you have to kill that person? Because we see in the next episode that Bruce is going to Blackgate to try to kill Ra's. And is that gonna, like... But Ra's is, like, beating him down. He's all, like, you're weak. And I'm assuming because Ra's knows that he's not powerful enough to be the Demon Head yet. But that's what he wants ultimately, to try to be killed by Bruce. So, do you need this knife to kill the Demon Head? Is that what it is? Or is there something else? Because what threw me off is, that's what I originally thought was going to happen. What threw me off was when Ra's was talking to Gordon about Nanda Parbat and all of that jazz, and saying how the legend was that when the person disappeared, when the Demon Head disappeared, he would come back and rule the world, or rule everything with that knife. But why isn't his master there? Like, why isn't his master ruling it? Is his master the real Demon Head that's trying to come back? Like, I'm just really interested on what's so important about this knife, and I hope they clear it up in later episodes. So yeah, there's a lot going on there. So yeah, there's a lot going on with this knife that we don't know yet, or it's like real true meaning. But we see throughout the episode that Bruce goes to a museum, tries to get it, everything's solved about it. They do kind of decipher what's on the knife. And then that, the old dude is all like, yeah, well, this is, I don't know if Mr. Wayne knows what he's getting into. And then that's when he gets murdered by Ra's, and his son, or his grandson Alex, is the one that hides everything. And we see that's what happens basically in the rest of the episode is Alex is chased. Bruce and Gordon have to try to save him. And it comes down to the very end where where Alex takes Gordon to get the knife, and Ra's ends up killing him because Bruce makes the hard decision and says, I can't give him this knife because you don't know what he's capable of. And Gordon's like, it doesn't matter. It's all about the kid's life. And he's like, no, I'm sorry. So Bruce made a hard decision, which I think this is what he's going to build on. This is going to be that moment, besides his parents getting shot, that will be the moment that will make him be that Batman that wants to save everybody no matter what. Because usually Batman will cross that line if he needs to, but it usually never costs anybody their life. Like, it's usually like, yo, I will destroy this building if it's gonna help me save 1 million people or whatever. Like, he'll make that decision, but I think in this show, Bruce losing, like, Alex to Ra's is going to be that, that idea, that motivation to keep him going and not let anybody die in his hands, you know, but it is that tough decision that Batman does have to make. Also, I don't know if you caught the little Easter egg, which I thought was super hilarious because it's constantly happening on my channel when I say Ra's al Ghul, and everybody's like, it's pronounced Ra's al Ghul, and then when I say it that way, some people are like, it's Ra's, blah, blah, blah. Look, alright, I'm gonna throw this at you first. That little Easter egg was when Gordon's all like, look, hey, lady girl who's been on this episode for the first time, find me everything you can on somebody named Ra's al Ghul. And then she's all like, okay, but how do you spell race? And he hangs up on her because the way you read it, it's Raz. I don't know how people get Raish out of R-A-apostrophe-S. But if you watch the animated series, you know, freaking, what's her name with Talia says that, you know, it's pronounced Raish when, you know, Bruce keeps saying it's Raz. So I say it's pronounced whatever way you want to say it because it ain't spelled right. Like GIF and GIF, it's a hard G. I don't know where people get the GIF part of it. It's freaking GIF. You can't just pronounce a J when it's a G. Sorry, we've been having that debates in my little groups recently and on streams, so I just had to, you know, throw that in there really quick. But that's basically what happened on this episode, guys. It was just all Batman and Ra's. It was more development for Bruce's, you know, just like building up of Batman. He's going to use this. In the next episode, we see that he's going to try to kill Ra's al Ghul, who gave himself up to go to Blackgate because I think he knew exactly what Bruce was going to do. Bruce was going to be so filled with anger that he was going to want to kill Ra's. So he wanted to see how good he was. So he went to the most secure prison that there is. And, you know, Bruce is sneaking into it. He wants to see how good his powers are, if he's good enough to become the Demon's Head. And I think this might be the stepping stone to where Ra's is like, you need to get better, I can train you, blah, blah, blah. That would be really interesting, but we're going to have to wait until next week to see what happens. Anyways, guys, those are all my thoughts for this episode. Do let me know what you thought of it in the comment sections down below. Don't forget, if you ever want to check out, you ever want to support this channel, you can check out the Patreon like these awesome people did, or you can always do the OG thing and give this video a thumbs up and share it with all of your Gotham buddies. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button for all things nerdy and geeky on this channel. As always, I'm your host, JUICEbox. Remember, when you wake up in the morning, ask yourself something. If I haven't deleted some juice, see you guys next time. Bye!